And they're really doing a nice job. Jordan Filler in the first 3 weeks of the season has filled in that role nicely, being able to communicate, being able to get some things done nicely. This will be a great test for him this week, with the speed and the tempo of the Arizona Cardinals going against Cliff and what he's able to do and how fast he's able to move the ball and the tempo and I don't want to call it college-style offense, but, where he's come from, where he was born, that fast, that speed, that tempo, and how he's able to get the ball, communicate it to the offensive guys and do all the things they need to do. This would be a great test for us and a great test for our communication and everything moving forward.
What is the plan for Justin Hollins' spot?
Losing Justin Hollins obviously is a big blow for us. He did so many things. He was so versatile. You can't come out and say you're just going to replace him with one player because of the amount of things he did, the off the ball, the on the ball, the ability to communicate with him like an inside linebacker and also an outside linebacker. But you'll have some good guys step in there. You have a little bit of Ernest Brown as a rookie. You'll be able to get a little bit of Obo out there playing a little outside backer. You better get a little bit of T. Lou going out there playing some more outside backer, increasing their roles. We were fortunate to get Obo back this week, and that's some of the benefits of being a good football team, being able to get some really good football players and be able to put them out there and do some more things. We'll ask more from Troy. We'll ask more from all those guys to be able to step in and fill in those roles, and we're fired up about that.
So Obo is coming back?
Obo should be coming back, so he's practicing like it, assuming everything goes well, assuming everything goes right. We'll have a good feel to be able to have a chance to get Obo back.
Obviously been dealing with something for a year and a half
Sure.
or more. Is a player ever sort of out of the woods on something like that, or is it a matter of managing it?
When you talk about injuries, you got to talk to your people that you trust and the people that put him out there. And to see him go as far as he's come, to be able to go out there and play 30 or some odd snaps last week and just to increase that amount of reps that's coming on him, is awesome. It's a great credit to Reggie and what his staff is able to do to be able to get him back so quickly after the near setback there in training camp, and then to get him back and be able to be productive and play productive as a player. So, all those things are really based on our medical staff and the guys that we trust the most, and obviously T. Lou. And right now when they put him out there, he's been productive, playing well, and, I'm fired up for the kid, to be honest.
What's that like for a coordinator and for the defense when you're shifting from defending a pocket guy like Tom Brady and now going to Kyler Murray and Russell Wilson coming in short order after that?
Every single week presents a different challenge, and it's always awesome. You go against the GOAT last week and all the things he's able to do. Then you go against some dynamic players coming up, but you can only play one of them at a time. So you prepare for the one that you're playing. And this week we play Kyler Murray, and he's respectfully in his own MVP race right now for himself, and he's doing really well. He's doing a great job across the league, and we got to go out there and be able to do what we can do to try to find a way to win this football game. And those are the challenges of being a coach. Those are the challenges of being a player. Those are the challenges of playing in this league. There is no weeks off. You got to be ready to play every single week.
And his skill set, what in particular, challenges that for you?
I love this question because we all know the answer to this one. He is dynamic outside of the pocket. He is dynamic, in the pocket. He has a great arm. He's talented. He's unique. He can throw. He can run. He's fast. He becomes particularly dangerous in the red zone. All those things we know about. We love this kid and how he moves and how he plays. And we got to go out there, and it's a great challenge for us to get him on the ground. It's a great challenge for us to try to fluster him. It's a great challenge for us to try to get him off the rhythm and off balance. And it's our job to do that. We got some capable players to do it, too, and I look forward to the challenge.
Does Bryce Perkins play Kyler in practice today? All week?
We got two, quarterbacks that are very mobile. You can't take away from any one of those guys. So we better put both of those guys out there and get great looks just based on our offensive coaching staff and what they do. Bryce Perkins will certainly serve as one of those guys that can do that, but don't sleep on our guy. Now, he's one of those guys that can move, he can run, he's quick, he makes great decisions, he makes decisive decisions, he can throw off-balance throws, and all those things that Kyler does well, he'll show us and simulate for us as well.
With the way Cliff mixes up the speed and the RPO, option style stuff, how do you coach the disciplines on that?
When you're talking about playing against speed, it's usually a battle of you put your guys out there, get them a call, let them get lined up and see who's better. I equated today to the guys playing pickup basketball. Steve, when we go out there and we play together and I pick you up on a pickup basketball game, we're going to go play against whoever. And then let's just see who's better. Let's go out there and play. Let's get a call, and let's go out and execute it. Let's see who can execute better. And then when it slows down, then you involve the coaches. You involve Cliff. You involve myself. You involve some of the other people that's involved in our coaching staff. But when it's going fast, man, it's pickup basketball. You got to get your call. You got to go execute that call, and you got to play it really fast and really well.
Throughout camp and then even into maybe a little bit more of these prep practices, at times I noticed that
You know, the offensive line is really always intriguing to me because when you talk about units and you talk about a team, usually that's one of the biggest, great ways to find camaraderie on a team when you go look at the offensive line. So when you find out like Whitworth and how he talks to his younger guys and how Rob communicates with all the guys and how they get that group to play together. And then you get the angry center out there and he's able to communicate with the guys the way he wants to and absolutely run the show and lead by example and do all the things that you do, and Corbs and all those guys inside and interior. It's really fun to be around that group, especially when you get a high energy coach that they got this year and the things that he brings to the table with energy and along with the assistants as well and Zach and all of those guys. I mean, it's great to watch. It's fun to be around. So I get nosy at times. I get back to your offensive roots a little bit. If you can consider them roots, you get a chance to go back and be around those guys and definitely our receiver group. It's always fun to be around those guys as well. Get a chance to talk to Cooper Kupp, find out what's in his head. He always liked to see my evaluation that I had on him from time to time, and it's always fun to talk to those guys as well. So I never like stand in one place. I kind of get around it with the team, and that's part of the camaraderie of being on the football team. That's what people miss when they retire. The locker room, the ability to be able to go in there and move and silence and talk to everybody and be a part of it.
Raheem, to go back to Terrell Lewis for just a second, what did you like about what he gave you guys in the 30-plus snaps he played against the Bucs, and what can he bring to that rotation as one of those guys being asked to step up?
Gave us great energy, gave us great hand usage, setting the edge, and when it was required towards the end of the stretch, some really dynamic pass rush. He's got great length. He's able to use his length against tackles. He's able to use his length against anybody they put on him to block him. He creates a problem out there, and when he's up and going, he's healthy. He is very dynamic for us. We kind of, had him on like, a little pitch count for ourselves, not for him, but for us, just to make sure we get him going in the best direction and get him going right. But he's been right, and we're fired up about it.
Just a couple more.
Raheem, what have you seen from the Cardinals receiving corps and the early success they've been able to have through the first 3 weeks?
Well, Hopkins. We know what he is. I think he's a 99 Madden rating. We got 2 of those guys, and we know what those guys entail. We don't need to talk about Hopkins and what he can do. And then you talk about A.J. Green coming up, one of the all-time greats. Came out with Julio Jones, a guy that I coach. You cannot forget about that comparison and that draft between Julio and A.J. and who was right and who was wrong. And everybody goes back and has those same battle now. So you're talking about an all-time great coming over, joining a really good wideout crew. And then you talk about Kirk, who was really dynamic, fast, explosive slot. That we love coming out of Texas A&M. That was one of the guys that I evaluated when I was coaching wideout, so I got a lot of experience in what he can do and how much of a mover he is. And really, he's probably got some more in his tank. You see some stuff with him getting carries, potentially like a Robert Woods for our team, and doing some things out of the backfield, doing some of the dynamic stuff that you can see from him. And then they picked up this young kid, Ronald Moore, who I was nosy enough to see from Purdue, and really like him, and really has some juice, and really has some energy, and bring some down-the-field type vertical stuff to their grass game. And they all have the separation trait that you love when we talk about wideouts. They all have the ability to get open. And even when they're covered, they're not covered. That's just the sign of a great wideout. I've never seen Julio Jones covered when I played him, when I coached him. When I coached with him, when I was on the same team with him, he was never covered if you ask him. And these guys all kind of got that mentality, and that's the sign of great wideouts.
Rob, with so many of the receivers really checking in this year and playing well, does that make it tougher for you to want to ISO Jalen on D-Hop, or does it make it easier?
Jalen is so unique in himself. His ability to move around and do stuff and affect the game based on situations. We've been able to move him around a little bit. I know in the past, Jalen's kind of shadowed D-Hop a lot and done it more. And I'm sure he'll have his moments on him. He had his moments last week on Mike, he had his moments last week on different types of receivers. And he's been really active this year. So it's hard to say you're going to isolate him with the amount of guys that they have. It's about your other guys stepping up and playing football as well. We just talked about the pickup basketball game. Sometimes in pickup basketball game, there's a lot of fast breaks, and you get caught on different people. And when you get caught on different people, you got to man up, and you got to depend on your brother to man up. And maybe that type of game a little bit down the stretch.
Raheem, as you, including coming in and, immersing yourself in this defensive philosophy, as you've been in the league and studying changes and cycles for the last 20 years or so.
Sure.
How have you seen defenses specifically work to sort of counter these trickle-up spreads, and particularly maybe the exaggeration being the one you'll see?
Jordan just gave the insight of how old I am, guys, and thanks, Jordan, for letting everybody know I'm really old. I've been trying to hide that from people, but no, I'm just kidding. It was really cool. They talk about college, and I always hear, the Steves on TV, and they're talking about, can these college quarterbacks change the NFL, or are they looking for the premier pocket passer? And as you see it, it's changing. You know, the Patrick Mahomeses, the Lamar Jacksons, the guy we're about to play right now, and Kyler Murray. And I don't know if it's necessarily changing, but it's evolving to that type of guy. And what can you do with the Matt Ryans? And do they still exist? There's the Stafford, who can kind of do a little bit of both, but now getting older, he is that pocket guy, so to speak, but can move a little bit better. Who knows, you know, like, it's always fun to see those guys and always fun to see these offensive geniuses come up with different schemes and different ways to make these guys effective. And it's always fun as a defensive coach to go out there and absolutely compete against those guys and find out how to not make them effective. So it's ever-changing. It's just like defense is no different. Some years Tampa 2 was hot. You know, right now, the Brandon Staley, whatever you want to call our defense, is hot. The Raheem Morris twist, however you want to do it, the Rams 2.0, 2.5, the different versions of it all. It's fun doing it, man, and I think all the coaches embrace that. And that's why we have all these type of conventions and things that we all get together and share certain things with people and other people and people that you respect. There's no doubt that there's people watching our tape just like I'm watching other people's tape. There's no doubt that you watch Pittsburgh Steelers defense. There's no doubt that you watch, you know, Joe Woods and what he's able to do with Cleveland. There's no doubt that you go back and watch Joe Barry, a guy that's been here and coached here and done some different things. And you want to see what people are doing. So the same thing you're doing on offense, the same thing is happening on defense, and people trying to evolve. We all got the same process, man. It's all about the beauty of coaching, loving this game.
Let's wrap up with the coaches.
I'm sorry. I'll come back. I just felt bad. He waved at me twice. I ignored him one
I
time.
appreciate it. This team has had great success defensively against Kyler Murray and the Cardinals before you got here.
Sure.
So I was just curious, I know every game is different, every season's different, but can you draw back from what has happened in the past? Do the guys talk to you about, hey, coach, this worked against this set that they were doing? Do you guys talk about that, and do you draw anything from the previous success?
That's the setup question right there. That's the one where, you know, coaches always give you the, you know, you can't take anything from the previous season. Yes, you can. We lie about that. But you got to take those things that worked well, and you got to be able to use them. You can utilize those things. You can come back and draw on them. But you know they're looking at the same things as well, so they're making corrections as well. So that's the cat and mouse game that you got to play with the other opposing coaching staff, your guys, the coaching staff, everybody else, right? Nothing's going to be the same every year. You know, it's always going to change from week to week. It's going to change from year to year, however you want to look at it. And we got to go out and do what's best to win this game, this week, at our place, in that noise, with them going fast, us executing. And Sean said it best this morning. I believe he said timing, tempo, rhythm, and violence. That's what this game's going to be about.
All right, that's all we got.
Can I get one more? Because I felt bad because
All right, wait.
I did shut him up, and I'm bringing it back and feeling bad for you. Hey, Lindsay.
Going back to Terrell Lewis one more time. You said you're rooting for him, for the player.
Sure.
Anything in particular in being around him makes you?
He's a great kid. You know, you can't even – I don't even know how to say it anymore. He's a great kid. The thing about him is you're rooting for him because you know the severity of the injury that he had and how he bounced back and was able to go from college to the pros and to make it and to be able to be productive and last week go out there and play his most productive game. Those are the guys you root for. Those stories that come back and absolutely, you know, shock some people but not themselves. And that's what I love about him. You know, so I'm fired up for this guy to go out there and play and be productive. And I'm looking forward to watching those guys all play together.